Good Wednesday morning, everyone. Welcome back to Weather on the Go, all your weather coverage. It is the first day of March, and we have lots to talk about in this video, so stick with me through the end of the video, and I definitely appreciate it. We're talking about a dangerous severe weather setup here from today all the way through late this week on Friday, March 3rd, with a dangerous setup on Thursday, especially across the deep south, a major snowstorm from the Midwest to the Great Lakes and even the Northeast through this weekend on Saturday, followed by a significant Arctic blast through the middle of March. We'll talk about all of these details in this video. But as you guys know, March 1st of 2023 now marks my 1 year of being on YouTube, so I appreciate all the support that everybody has given me through the last year on YouTube. But if you want to support me and continue to support the channel, subscribe down below by hitting that red subscribe button here, and also to get all of my daily weather forecast updates each and every morning at 9 a.m. Hit the subscribe button down below, guys. We're quickly approaching 25,000 subscribers. Thanks to you. Thanks to all the new subscribers out there. I definitely appreciate it. But as we go through the day today, we're watching two separate systems here. The first system over here to the east is along a stationary boundary. We have to watch this boundary through the afternoon, as this could spark some scattered severe thunderstorms from the Tennessee Valley back toward the Arklatex regions. But then our massive storm system that we're talking about late this week is already starting to move into the Four Corners region, bringing some heavy snow to northern Arizona, Utah, over here into the Rocky Mountains, and even some heavier rain down toward the Phoenix region as we head through later on today. But if you guys are with me here on the video, don't forget to press that like button, that thumbs up button down below the video. It helps to distribute this video around to as many people as possible here on YouTube, so I definitely appreciate if you'd press that like button down below. But as we go through today, like I said, that stationary boundary is going to cause some trouble. We have a slight risk, a level 2 of 5 on the scale here from the Storm Prediction Center from northeast Texas through southern Arkansas, northern Mississippi, northern Alabama, into southern Tennessee. And even that marginal risk extends all the way north and eastward to southern Ohio and portions of West Virginia later on today. Looking at the individual risk categories here, the damaging wind probability is lower, but we still have a threat for 60-mile-per-hour winds, especially from the Nashville region back through Little Rock here, and even the Texarkana region later on today. And same holds true for the hail. However, the hail threat could be significant here from the Little Rock region up here towards Memphis and then back towards portions of the DFW Metroplex, especially the eastern side of the DFW Metroplex for 2-inch or larger hailstones today, and then that 2 to 5% shading in the green and brown shaded colors for tornadoes along that stationary boundary later on this afternoon. So looking at the setup here today and how this works is that the dew points will be advecting northward into the 60s. We go with the dew points across the Arklatex into the Tennessee Valley, and this is going to provide plenty of juice and instability for these thunderstorms to develop. And we have some pretty strong flow in the westerlies in the jet stream as well in the mid-levels, so we definitely have that damaging wind potential there for later on today along that front. And the winds are pretty parallel as well, so when these storms develop, you're not going to see these storms drop far south. They're going to kind of move over the same areas, which will actually lead to more of a flash flooding risk. We'll get to that in just a moment. But looking here at noon time frame on Wednesday, we're pretty quiet across the southern and southeastern United States. But by the time we get to 4, 5, even 6 o'clock here this evening toward dinner time frame, we'll start to initiate some of these thunderstorms back across the Arklatex into the western Tennessee Valley, back toward the Little Rock region, Texarkana, and even as far east as Memphis, and then these will propagate eastward again over those same areas here into northern Mississippi, northern Alabama, perhaps over there toward the Atlanta, Georgia region, and then much of middle Tennessee as well, up toward Nashville and the Crossville, Tennessee region through midnight tonight. And then that will continue to move off to the east, and we'll say goodbye to Wednesday's severe weather threat by the time we get to the overnight hours into early Thursday morning. But this system, besides the severe weather threat, will be producing some heavy rain across a narrow zone, but wherever we see these storms set up here across central and southern Arkansas, northern Mississippi, northern Alabama, over here towards portions of Chattanooga, Tennessee, and the Atlanta, Georgia area, we could be setting up some pretty heavy rain, anywhere from 1 to 3 inches worth of rain here from now all the way through Thursday morning. And this does raise the concern for at least a slight risk for flash flooding across middle, eastern Tennessee, and then back toward the Little Rock region through through this afternoon, tonight, and even into Thursday morning. So you definitely want to be mindful of that, even if you don't see the severe weather. But then as we go through the day today as well, our second system here is lurking back to the west across Southern California and moving into the Western Four Corners region into Utah and Arizona. And this system is going to be spreading out some heavier, higher elevation snow, some lower elevation rain here, including the Los Angeles region, starting to see some snowflakes, maybe even some rain mixed in there as well. Some heavier snow up here toward the Salt Lake City area, maybe even Denver as well into Colorado around noon time frame. This will move to the east here. Flagstaff, Arizona, will start to see some steady, moderate pockets of snow through mid-evening here, and then some heavier rain farther south into southern Arizona towards the Glendale and the Phoenix region, and then some of that heavier snow will spread eastward into northwestern New Mexico this evening, and then that will start to move even farther east by Thursday morning, and that will start to set the stage for the day on Thursday. But first, looking at the total rainfall accumulation across the western United States here from now through Thursday morning, some decent rain down across central, southern California, and then off across portions of Arizona and western New Mexico. Some of these areas could be picking up those 1 to 2 inch rain amounts, especially in these blue and pink shaded colors here toward the Los Angeles region, Phoenix, and the Glendale area as well. But look at the heavier snow setting up here across the southwest. Flagstaff, Arizona, we could be up over a foot of snow, and then even the Sierra Nevada mountains as well, especially the southern side of the mountain range here. We're definitely going to be seeing some very heavy snow there, and even some heavier pockets of snow perhaps just south of the Salt Lake City area going through Thursday morning. So definitely some beneficial snow for some of the ski resorts out west. But as the system moves to the east, this is going to get very interesting by Thursday. This is going to have a lot of upper level support and energy with it as it crosses across portions of New Mexico into West Texas. And out ahead of that, we're definitely going to start to see some energy take place before it takes that negative tilt and moves up across the western Ohio Valley by Friday, March 3rd. And what I mean by energy is that the Storm Prediction Center does have an upgrade to a level 4 moderate risk for severe weather, a widespread severe weather outbreak here across the deep south here. And this moderate risk does include northeast Texas, portions of southeastern Oklahoma, southern Arkansas, and the northern portions of Louisiana, and even that enhanced risk, that level 3 of 5, extending as far east as the Jackson, Mississippi, and Tupelo, Mississippi region, with a general severe weather threat going as far east as the Atlanta metro area on up here towards Chattanooga, Tennessee later on Thursday. Looking at the individual probabilities of severe weather, the damaging wind probability is very significant here. We got that 30 to even 45% hatched area for 75 plus mile per hour wind gusts here from the DFW Metroplex on up here toward Little Rock, Shreveport, Monroe, Louisiana, and then over here toward Tupelo, Mississippi. So definitely want to be on high alert for widespread damaging winds over 75 miles per hour, but also the large hail. Initially with these storms, we'll have supercells over here into north central Texas and much of the southern plains, especially the DFW Metroplex and up here towards Texarkana. And some of these storms could be spreading out those 2 to even 3 inch diameter hailstones going into Thursday evening. And then a concerning setup for strong tornadoes with those EF2 or stronger variety tornadoes here from the DFW Metroplex along and east of I-20 here, getting in towards the Little Rock region, Shreveport, and then on up toward the Tupelo, Mississippi region as we get through Thursday night. So looking at the setup here, we have, again, those dew points will be advecting northward. Dew points will be in the 60s to even near 70 degrees along the immediate Gulf Coast, providing plenty of energy and instability to work with as this dry line and cold front spreads to the east into this environment. But we also will have that negative tilt start to take shape here with that trough. And when that does occur, the eastern side of that trough does start to become very dominant with the wind energy here. You can see across East Texas with those stronger colors here. And that low-level jet is going to start to crank as well by Thursday evening. So definitely seeing that low-level and mid-level shear needed for severe weather. And that is going to be concerning for a regional severe weather outbreak. And I did show you this here, the maximum updraft helicity through Thursday. And you can see how some of these storms could be long-tracked here. And that that is concerning for possibly a long track strong tornado, especially ahead of the main line here. If we can have a supercell that is discreet enough ahead of the main line, we could be watching out for a long track strong tornado or two by Thursday evening. So definitely want to be on high alert for that. And I did take a sounding just east of the DFW Metroplex, just east of Dallas-Fort Worth here, east of I-20, and it does show still that PDS tornado tag, which means an EF2 or stronger type of tornado is definitely possible in that environment. So let's break that down here by Thursday, mid-afternoon, 3 o'clock. We're already seeing some initiation back across central Texas. Some of these could easily become severe as early as 3 o'clock, but as we get toward the dinner time frame at 6 o'clock on Thursday, we'll start to see a broken line of some supercells, and these could start rotating with strong tornadoes, very large hail over 2 inches in diameter, as well as those 75-plus mile-per-hour wind gusts we were talking about, especially as this line starts to develop even farther south toward the Houston region, and then on up here into East Texas and eastern portions of Oklahoma through 10 o'clock on Thursday, and that will quickly race off to the east, and by 6 a.m. on Friday, that will already be across the Memphis area and the Jackson, Mississippi area, all the way down through New Orleans by the time we get into daybreak on Friday. And again, just to refresh your memory about the tornado products that the National Weather Service offices uses here and the Storm Prediction Center uses for alerting you guys for tornadoes. A tornado watch means a tornado is possible. Be prepared, and conditions are favorable for tornadoes and tornadic development, but a tornado warning is a whole different story, guys. That means a tornado is expected. Seek shelter. A tornado is occurring or will occur very quickly in your area, so definitely want to take shelter in a basement, a storm shelter here. If you don't have those, go in the lowest, most interior room away from windows, and that will keep you safe here as well. And even as we go into Friday, this cold front will continue to progress off to the east, a widespread zone of severe weather from southern Ohio all the way down to North Florida, with that slight risk across much of the southeast on Friday. And you can see that with that squall line continuing to move off to the east by noon on Friday. Meanwhile, some very heavy deformation snow bands will be setting up from northern Illinois through southeastern Iowa and perhaps as far southwest as central Missouri going through the noon time frame on Friday. That will be pushing to the east. We'll say goodbye to the multi-day severe weather outbreak, but we'll still see some wintry precipitation across the northeast, especially the I-95 corridor on northwestward, and some heavy snow setting up into southeastern Canada here toward the Montreal region, Vermont, New Hampshire, portions of Massachusetts, and upstate New York. And then that will continue to progress off to the east on Saturday, March 4th at noon, with some lingering snow across parts of the northeast. So looking at this, even though you don't see severe weather, and you may not in some of these areas, we will be talking about some very heavy rain, especially up across the mid-Mississippi Valley here on Thursday into Friday. Widespread 2 to 4 inches or more in some spots of rainfall from southern Missouri, southern Illinois, getting into portions of western Kentucky, western Tennessee, much of Arkansas here, including the Little Rock region, and then back into eastern Oklahoma. And that does spell trouble for at least a slight to even moderate risk of flash flooding on Thursday here. Moderate risks are very rare, so definitely want to be on high alert from southern Missouri, portions in north central Arkansas, back into eastern portions there of Oklahoma Thursday into Friday on the 2nd and 3rd of March. And then that will push up across the Ohio Valley, the Mid-Atlantic, and parts of the Northeast on Friday into Saturday on March 3rd and 4th. And that will provide us with much more widespread zone of flash flooding, with a marginal to slight risk of flash flooding up here centered on Ohio, back through portions of Indiana, northern Kentucky, and eastern portions of Illinois Friday into Saturday. But also talking about the cold side of the system as well. We're going to have some marginally cold temperatures. It's not going to be overly cold, but just cold enough for some heavy deformation snow and some dynamic cooling with this system in the low levels. And that will push farther to the east as we head into Saturday, encompassing much of the Ohio Valley, the Northeast, and southeastern Canada. And how this works is the snow setup here, you have the snow falling, the snowflakes from the cloud all the way to the ground. That's if the air in between the cloud to the surface is all cold enough for snow. But now we get interesting though with sleet here. The sleet, it falls as snow out of the cloud, but we have that shallow warm layer here in the mid levels of the atmosphere. So that snowflake melts only partially to an ice pellet and then drops all the way to the surface as an ice pellet. That is actually called sleet. We could start seeing much of that here here across the Great Lakes, the Midwest, and the Northeast as well. But then the freezing rain setup here is one of the most dangerous types of winter precipitation. You have the snowflake falling out of the cloud, a deeper layer of warm air in the mid and even low levels. It melts to raindrops and then refreezes on contact as it hits the ground with that shallow cold air at the surface. So that is what we could be seeing as well. But thankfully, we're not talking about a major ice storm this go around. But looking here at the European and the GFS model here, which is the American model for snowfall, we do see a lot of differences still with the track of the system, particularly across the Midwest. The European model is going all out on a foot of snow toward the Chicagoland region, Milwaukee, down through northern portions of Missouri. But then the American GFS says, well, wait a second. No, that's farther to the east. So there are some differences here in the Midwest. And looking at this, I think it's going to go into a middle of the road type of approach. I think we'll have about a 3 to 6 inch type of snow band here from southeast Wisconsin through northern Illinois. And yes, this does include especially the northern suburbs of Chicago and then down through Davenport, Quad Cities here into northern portions of Missouri back into the Kansas City region. And then some heavier snow lifting out across portions of New York State, Vermont, New Hampshire, toward the Boston region, and then on up into coastal Maine and western Maine by the time we get into later on this weekend. And zooming this in again, we could be seeing 6, 7, 8 inches of snow here from Chicago, Milwaukee, back toward the Davenport Quad Cities, and then getting back toward Kirksville, Missouri, the Kansas City region as we go into that Friday, Saturday time frame. And then farther to the east here, we'll be talking about heavy snow for Toronto, back toward Montreal here, 7, 8 inches there. Possibly Albany, New York coming in around 8, 9 inches. And then over here towards Boston, we could be getting 6, 7 inches of snow by that Friday and Saturday time frame as well. But then going in the long range pattern, things start to change back for the more wintry here. If we don't have snow and you don't have the cold yet, we will have the cold by the time we get into the second week in March. The Climate Prediction Center is forecasting well below normal temperatures across the Pacific Northwest on that March 6th through the 10th time frame. And that's going to dampen that ridge farther south towards Texas and the immediate Gulf Coast by the time we get into the second week of March. And that actually penetrates farther south into the southern United States perhaps by that second full week in March from the 8th through the 14th time frame. And that looks to take us into the middle of March as well across much of the lower 48 here. And you can see that the European ensemble guidance here with the temperature anomalies, especially centered around that March 12th time frame, does take us well below normal all the way down to the Gulf Coast and Florida here with at least 5 to 10 degrees below normal temperatures during the middle of March. So things are going to be turning colder and possibly more active here as we get towards the middle of March here during that time frame. So to recap my weather forecast for you guys, a dangerous severe weather setup here from today through Friday, especially the worst here on Thursday across the deep south. Be on alert for some high impacts from the severe weather. Major snowstorm from the Midwest, the Great Lakes, and the Northeast this weekend with several inches of accumulation. Get the shovels and snow blowers ready. You're going to need them. And then a significant Arctic blast will take over toward the middle of March for many of us across the lower 48. So get ready for the cold and the coats out there. We're going to need the coats toward the middle of March for sure, especially across the north as we get in towards that 12th, 13th time frame. Well, thank you guys so much for watching. I definitely appreciate it. If you guys liked the video, press the thumbs up down below. Leave any comments, questions, and concerns below. I'll get to those later on today. Subscribe to the YouTube channel if you're new and hit the notification bell to get all of my daily weather forecast updates on this channel. Have a great first day of March, everybody. A great Wednesday, and I will see you all in the next video.